Now, as long ago as 1930, Jiddu Krishnamurti said that truth is a pathless land, and you can't organise it. And if you organise it, it just becomes a belief system, a dogma, and something that's used by organisations to control the members of such organisation. Therefore, all religion is false, yet I say that all organisations at all are false, because nature is self-organising, and any attempt to organise is a disturbance of and the prevention of the organisation, natural organisation of nature. Now, I've drawn a diagram, and this diagram has evolved naturally, so it's been a self-organising diagram over the last 2 days. And I'm going to put the diagram up on the screen, and then we'll perhaps talk a little bit about it. Okay. Note that we've got 2025 at both ends of the diagram and 1200 in the middle. 1200 is the birth of Magna Carta. Now I put MAGA, it probably should be down here, or perhaps it's a new revolution, I don't know. The Magna Carta was the attempt to organise the start of the organisation of the law and of politics. And what we've got moving in this direction is degeneration into complete organisation, complete control, and complete slavery, and the devolution of freedom away from the individual to the top, and money too. And in the opposite direction at the same time, we've got the evolution going on, which is into freedom, into greater levels of freedom. And this is the opposite of a degeneration. It's actually a synthesis, a progress, if you like, from the Catholic Church, the free bison and the forests and rivers of the Great Plains of America, up through Martin Luther, Goethe and Schiller, finally into Jiddu Krishnamurti, which is a product of the Theosophical Society, a society attempting to be, without organisation, the minimum of organisation you could possibly have. And then Krishnamurti says, no organisation, all organisations are false. That is progress, because mankind is learning this lesson from the last 5,000 years, if you like. And then to give all away and find ourselves again in the natural order of poets, bards and druids. Free creativity rather than rigid control. I'll stop now for a moment. Now this diagram is a summation of everything that we've learned in this series of videos, the natural order of poets, bards and druids. And so, if we study this diagram, this is a kind of a mathematics, this diagram. It's the truth. Truth is a pathless land. Yet when we look at history, we can see the development of higher and higher levels of understanding of the world that we live in, our place in it. And if we go back to the Temple of Delphi, and the writing above the temple, we'll read the words, "Know thyself." And this diagram cannot teach you how to know thyself. If you're in a fallen state, you cannot understand this diagram. You'll turn this into you'll try to understand it in some intellectual manner, and you won't be able to understand it. Yet, if you've followed the teachings of Krishnamurti, if you've listened to Krishnamurti and allowed what he has said to play upon your brain, you may find yourself in truth, which is a pathless land. And that pathless land can lead to all sorts of wonders, if you like. And this diagram is a wonder of product, a fruit of such a pathless land. And as such, it can only be understood by somebody who is living in that pathless land. And so it's necessary not to make any effort to understand this diagram. If you have to make some sort of effort, then that's the dog, really. This diagram should just confirm what you already know. But perhaps that's not true. There's a dog and a pigeon going at the same time. Jesus said, "Thy will be done, thy kingdom come," which is a kind of like an instruction, a path, if you like, to truth. Here's a fly. Here's a fly. Ah, okay. The fly's on the cup, but not to drink it because it's still on the cup. To respect the fly, now there's two flies, one on the cup and one on the hand. I've never seen that. Never seen that in this house. Certainly not in front of a video. Okay. Now, all of you lot would throw these flies out and certainly wouldn't put them on the video. Yet truth is a pathless land, and so I have to work out what's going on here. Okay? Let's put this down. It's sort of saying don't let go of this cup, you see. One fly here, one fly there. That's respect for nature. Yeah? That's respect for nature. Every creature in nature has to be respected. And you'll see on this diagram there's mention of the bison. Now, the bison were an amazing creature, provided for man by God, not to abuse, to use for his survival. You know? And whilst man used the bison, didn't abuse the bison, man kept the bison herd strong. The weaker bison got filtered out, and the strong bison became the breeding stock, if you like, of the bison. And whilst it was like that, there was a positive effect on the bison. For example, if you're a sickly bison, you don't want to live your life in that sort of situation. It's better to die and be born again. Yeah? And so the bison is weeded out. But if you take the whole herd now and you start running them off a cliff so that you can get loads more of them, so that you can trade and get arrowheads and bows from some neighbouring tribe, now you're starting to organise. Yeah? And so in the end the bison were taken away from the Americans. They were taken away by the invasion of the white man. And once the bison were taken off the Great Plain was a marvellous place. And it was owned by the Mexicans, Indians. The white man wanted it, so he just stole it. He stole it, and he stole California, stole all this land from the Mexicans. Yeah. And he then uprooted, using the plough and metal wheels and great transportation and the iron rail, he destroyed all the grasses on the Great Plain, which were holding the soil together. And a great big dust cloud came and blew the whole lot away, turning the Great Plain into a desert, forcing all the farmers to leave. And at the same time as Krishnamurti was saying, truth is a pathless land, these people who had destroyed the Great Plain were forced into a pathless journey to California in the Depression years. Great migration out of the Dust Bowl of America. And so you can see the start of the creation of the pyramids of Giza and the desert of Egypt probably happened in the same way. Destruction of the plain, of the Great Plain, the loss of the grasses to hold the soil together, and then it blew away, and then you have a desert. Yeah? This happened in Italy. Wherever man has organized, greatly organized himself, so we have a desertification of everything, and a more and more rigid control over nature, over man, the slavery of man. And its opposite is freedom of the individual without organization. And a man can only be free if he's free of organizations. All of the terrorism in the world is coming from organizations. It's enough now. I'll take 5. Now, whilst I watched that video back, I thought I'd come over here and get my coffee, finish it off over there whilst I was watching the video. When I got to the coffee cup, I had to rescue the fly. The fly had been trapped by the coffee cup, couldn't get out. Got its wings all wet and everything. So I had to help it out of the coffee cup, and it sat on my hand for a while and dried its wings off, and it flew off. Okay? And so it did this to remind me that I need to talk about that also, that the bison, whilst the bison are there to help man, man is also there to help the bison. And if something happens to mother bison and so the little baby bison is needs help, yeah, then it's man's job to help. And this is probably how domesticated cattle used to be the origin of them, if you like, where man must have helped some baby animal, having killed its mother by accident or something like this, and therefore was left with the baby, and under nature would not harm that baby because that baby was too good. There was nothing wrong with that baby. If that baby was maimed, the man would put it out of its misery quickly and eat it. If the baby was in good condition, then man would try to help the baby grow up and become an adult. That is man's purpose here on the planet. And it's funny because yesterday I had the same problem here with a young baby dove, a pigeon, a wood pigeon. I looked out the back window and there was this baby wood pigeon had flown into the washing line, or fallen to the washing line, and see what came before. And the washing line was like that cup. It was a whole load of yellow wires going round and round in a kind of a cup. And once the bird got in there, it didn't know how to get out safely. It could hurt itself, catch its wings and these wires and stuff. And so it had managed to hop onto the pole in the middle, and the poor dejected bird was sitting on the top of the pole. And now, I could have, what do you do in the situation? Do you go and rescue it, or do you leave it? Is it okay, is it not okay? Well, one has to be careful about using one's mind about this, to think that you might be able to help the bird, is to wait and see if the body moves, or if any helpful words come from the ancestral realms, like, help that bird now, oh my God, I better go do something. Does the body move? And my body didn't move. My body just looked at the bird, and the thought came to me, we have to wait and see. It's tired. If I disturb it now, it may well hurt itself trying to get away. It will be frightened. So I will leave it. I felt sorry for it because it was sitting on the metal pole top. It didn't look very comfortable. I thought of the nest that it might have come out of might have been more comfortable. So I felt compassion for the young bird. I wanted to help it, yet kept myself back. I did not move. My hands didn't move. And it got dark, and I saw it was still there, and I said, I'll see in the morning. I'll see in the morning what happens. And when I got up in the morning, the bird was gone. So obviously, somehow rescued itself from its pole. So I didn't need to do anything, and I might have caused more trouble than it was worth trying to organise the bird out of this thing. Yet there are times when you need to help nature. The fly wouldn't have got out of that cup. It would have just exhausted itself and died in that cup. And so it's now a free fly again. You may think that's stupid, Yet I've learned to respect the fly because the fly is helping me. It's not hindering me, it's helping me. Teaching me what I need to know in every moment. There's no fly bothering me now. It didn't bother me. It just brought my attention to certain things I need to say on this video. Respect for the animals. That's the first thing that goes, and then things degenerate further from there. Man's houses become square instead of circular or egg-shaped. And the pyramids are triangular, I'm afraid. That's the most degenerate form of architecture. Let's have another look at this diagram. Right. So let's take half of it at a time. Okay. So the Magna Carta is the origin, if you like, of our American Israel. The Israel part of it goes back to Moses, if you like. Yet our American part of it is coming out of the Magna Carta. And the Magna Carta is also coming out of Israel. And the ideas of politics are coming out of that evolution of organization. Yeah, it's the devolution, if you like, of organization. To get organization wrong, and you can see that that organization is degenerating into complete organization. Complete organization is AI. AI is complete organization. AI says what everybody should do, and that's the end of it. That's the end of free will, if you like. And the funny thing is we're learning that we have no free will. And the greatest freedom is found when we find that we have no free will. You can't see that part of the diagram, so we have to come down here again. Okay, and so you'll see that the Great Plains were started to be taken over and destroyed. We had the Protestant Church formed, which was an organization of Martin Luther's ideas, yeah. And you'll see that frivolity is the start of turning away from wisdom to turn to frivolous pursuits, playing golf and things like this, yeah, instead of concerning ourselves with the welfare of the world and the animals. Okay. Now, then we have, out of frivolity, we get racism. Racism starts with the idea that our race is more special than their race. Our tribe is more special than their tribe. Now we end up with the division of land. Okay, we steal their land and we divide it up. And now we've got, we are the elites, you are our slaves. Okay, we have these other ideas, and this at the same time we have the roads, and the roads are used to get to the land, to divide it, and it ends up with genocide, because we have to get rid of all those people that were on the land because we don't need them all, we don't want them, it's our land now, okay? And lucre, money, filthy lucre, bestiality. The dust storms coming from the division of the land, coming from the slavery of the animals, the killing of all the animals, yeah, on the Great Plains, the floods that are coming now, the desert that is the eventual destiny of this complete rigidity, complete organization, complete control, monitoring of human activity using cameras, surveillance cameras, the internet, the satellites, organizing the space above our heads. War and fear is in this side, war and fear. This is the start of the problem, war and fear, yeah? Instead of peace and compassion. I didn't make war against that fly. I'm on this side of the equation. Let's go to the other side. Okay, so we're back to 1200, and that was the time of Elisabeth of Thuringia, just after the time of John of Salisbury. John of Salisbury brought to account the Catholic Church, who was frivolous in its approach. It wasn't sincere, it wasn't serious, it was frivolous. And so the Catholic Church, we're talking about here, not the Holy Catholic Church, we're talking about the Roman Catholic Church, yet there was a Holy Catholic Church which was still within it in the abbeys and the monasteries of that church, which all were all destroyed as we move through this process here that became the Catholic Church was replaced by the Protestant Church here in the devolution. The process of this, there was a great renaissance at this time. Elisabeth of Thuringia was the start of bringing the compassion back into the world, to care for the poor, the sick, the needy and the oppressed, to bring back the original ideas of the church. And John of Salisbury to summarise some of the wisdom and to bring an end to that Catholic Church. And then Martin Luther went back to the old ideas, brought the old ideas back from the original teachings of Jesus, and we started to come out of that area into more divinity and wisdom with Goethe and Schiller, and a natural approach to science, going back to nature, and everything moving from many ideas of the old into a wholeness, where everything is integrated, the wisdom is integrated, and the Theosophical Society's purpose was to integrate all of the wisdom of the ancient religions, to bring it all back, to look after the books, to bring it all back, so that its fruit, which is Jiddu-Krishnamurti, could come and summarize a great summation of the whole of the wisdom of the past 5,000 years, which was, truth is a pathless land. You can't use any path to get there, and it's a reality, and all organizations have to go. So at this point we see no organizations, and he was the first to disband his own organization, say that's the end of it, that's the end of it. And what this is progress. And going back to a more natural organization of the world. And this is a synthesis of all of the wisdom of 5,000 years. And out of that is coming Umot, which is the natural order of poets, bards and druids. To give all away and go back into free creativity, and so therefore lead the world into the next stage of it, like these people did before. These people led the world into new levels of progress. These people led the world into degeneration. Spinoza, 1666. Now I'm going to tell you what Spinoza said. He was the opposite of Jesus. He was like an antichrist. He said, let's see what he said. Okay, this is the Jewish law of self-interest. Spinoza. He was the greatest Jewish thinker of the Enlightenment. About 1666. And he's described by Rebecca Goldstein as the renegade Jew who gave us modernity. So this is the origin of modernity. And these are his sayings. He said, the right of each one is in proportion to his power. The rights of each one is in proportion to his power. The more powerful have more rights, less powerful no rights. This is what he says. He says, according to the highest law of nature, every man has unlimited power to do that which, in his opinion, will be in his interest. Okay, you can just do whatever you like. It doesn't matter about anybody else. Okay. To obtain that which we demand for our salvation, am I off the page? I am. Okay. Okay. To obtain, any amount of noise, it doesn't matter. To obtain that which we demand for our salvation and our peace, we need no other principle than this, to lay to heart what is to our own interest. That's what that person on that motorbike's doing. They want to make all that noise because that's what it's giving them fun. But wherever they go, they're causing problems for everybody else. Okay? And so I wrote at the bottom here, it says, this is no less than my will be done, my kingdom come, and to hell with everybody else. And that is the will of the devil. Thanks for watching. Well, I hope you found that interesting. I noticed that having gone through all those laws of Spinoza, that it was obvious that that's what the MAGA movement of Donald Trump, that's exactly their philosophy, the philosophy of Spinoza, which is to hell with everybody else. It's a racist viewpoint. Whatever I do is good for me, in my self-interest. That's going to have to be good for you. Okay. It's been an interesting journey for me, just as much as it is for you. We discover all this together, and we don't need to get upset about this. It's just a matter of if we understand it, we can live through it, and we can move forward, and we know what's right, we know what's wrong, we know where we're heading, we know which the correct direction is, we know what the wrong direction is, and so we simply move along those lines, if you like, influencing whoever we can influence, and moving forward into the future, hoping that everything will work out, because it's not our will that's being done, it's God's will. And God's will is a wonderful thing. God's will is what's good for the individual also has to be good for the group, also has to be good for the nation. It's got to be good for all the other nations too. And in the end, it's got to be good for the entire planet. That is the law of God, okay? And whilst it would be nice if it could all be good for us right now, here in Bromyard, it can only be as good as it can be for all those other interests. It's got to be good for the fly, it's got to be good for the dove, it's got to be good for the Chinese, it's got to be good for the Americans, it's got to be good for the British, it's got to be good for the Germans, it's got to be good for everybody, all simultaneously. Yeah? And this is why, from time to time, God rises up one nation of error to fight and destroy another nation in error. Because when the bison were taken from the Great Plains, the Indians were driving them over cliffs in whole herds of them. Yeah? And God said, now you have to learn your lesson. If you carry on like that, they're all going to be gone. So we take them away from you. Yeah? And you've made slaves of the animals, we'll make slaves of you. And send the white man to do that. Yeah? And it's a dog, but somewhere along the line people have to learn their lesson. And if they learn their lessons of this diagram, then we can come to a world without organisations and get back to nature. And I would like to be in nature. I'm sure all of you would like to be in nature. But we can't be in nature until all the evil in the world has been uncovered and destroyed by the lesser evil. A lesser evil destroys a greater evil. That's the law of it. Progress and degeneration happen simultaneously. And the degeneration is what's driving the progress. Without the degeneration, we've just been living our lives in frivolity. The frivolity of courtiers, that's John of Salisbury's greatest book. And a good read if you can get your way through it. I think this is the last video in the series. I hope it is, because everything has to have its ending, and I've got other work to do that is starting to concern me a little bit. My lady is coming on holiday soon, and so there's a point where I have to start cleaning up the house and stop making videos. So I hope you enjoyed the series. There are other interesting series to watch, and all of the work that I've done is important. Every video is different, and you can watch all the videos and get something out of each one that's different to every other video. There's a lot of stuff in here, and I hope you find it, and that together God can bring a better world. We can move towards progress rather than degeneration. Thanks for watching.